Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Dave here back at Last Call headquarters for your Wednesday lunchtime trivia facts, trivia questions, trivia information from the writing team. So, last time I saw you, we talked about some things, and one thing stuck out to me was the fact that some people like certain categories, sports in particular, but I think we talked about a little bit more than that as well. So, because of that, I went through our database and kind of talked or looked for, what categories we have. And it turns out that we use about 40 different categories in a given week or in a given month. And I was thinking about it, I was looking at some of the questions, going over them, and realized that some of those categories are very, very, very broad. So history is a category that can cover the past 10 years, the past decade, the past century, anything, American history, world history, European history. And I was thinking about that, and I hosted on actually Wednesday night 2 weeks ago, the same day we did the video, and a lot of teams, they held their highest wager for the last question of the round, and it turns out that many of them, based on the category, thought they were going to know the answer, but people didn't do so hot. So that's kind of the theme of today's talk with you guys. We're going to go over some things in categories that show just how broad they can be. So another category, not as broad as history, is music. So you can talk about the people in music, you can talk about albums, lyrics, awards, the list goes on and on and on.
So is Last Call Trivia ever thinking about creating more specific categories in the future?
As I was doing this, I was thinking about that, and that is a possibility. That's something that we would need to, discuss and go over and see if that's something that we want to do. It is a lot of fun, I think, in trivia to kind of, I mentioned the wagers earlier, is to think, well, could it be, if we're talking about sports, could it be golf? Could it be basketball, football? Because basketball and football, those are the big ones. But then there's tennis, Olympics. So I think that's some of the fun of it. But at the same time, there is the argument to be made that maybe we could do it, maybe not all the time, but maybe sometimes we do, a golf category or a tennis category. So that's something we'll think about, and you might see that in some shows in the future, depending on what people want to see. Let us know in the comments down there if there is a certain category that you don't see often that you would like to see. But back to the music, the broad, vast world that is music. I have a couple questions for you today, and I am going to ask the first one now. It is a popular song at sporting events. The Ramones' Blitzkrieg Bop begins with what chorus? A popular song at sporting events, the Ramones' Blitzkrieg Bop begins with what chorus? So, do we already have an answer?
We don't have an answer for that. We have a couple comments, though. Okay. Brooklyn obviously wants to see more Disney questions.
More Disney, okay.
I don't think we saw that coming. But.
Yeah, and we all know Brooklyn loves Disney. That's something that could fit into a lot of categories. It could fit into TV, movies, all of that.
It looks like we have two guesses.
Okay.
Debbie and Brooklyn guessed the same thing. They both guessed A.O. Let's Go.
Yes, it is. Well, it's Hey Ho, Let's Go, but that would work. You got the answer to the first question. And if we don't get answers that quickly to the questions that are coming along, I'm going to go over the ones that haven't been answered yet at the end, and then give the answers to them. So everybody, if you're just joining, you can have a chance to guess them quickly if the answers don't come in. So. That being said, with the first question answered, we can move on to our second question. This is completely different than the previous question, and it is about a band member. What Australian band did Michael Hutchence front until his death in 1997? What Australian band did Michael Hutchence front until his death in 1997?
No answers on that yet, but we do have a question.
Okay.
Sometimes categories say that it's books, and sometimes the category says it's literature. So how do you distinguish between the two?
Well, if it's about a specific book, sometimes it can fall under the books category. And I actually have somebody at one of my shows that I host that gets upset if we sometimes, put children's literature into the literature question. So we try to separate the two. If it's a children's book, some people would argue that that's not literature, and people have different stances on that. So it's kind of if it's a books question, it'll be more the title of a book or a children's book or something that probably won't go into so much detail as the storyline or characters within the book or something more literature based. So.
It looks like we have several people guessing, which I think is correct. Adrian, Jake, and Kara all think that it is In Excess.
It is In Excess. Everybody's doing really well this week. So yeah, it's In Excess. So good job, guys. And with that, we can move on to our third question. And this is something that we talked earlier about making categories more specific. This one is designated as a lyrics question. So it is a music question, but it's a lyrics question. And it is, in the Macklemore song, Downtown, how much money does he pay for a moped? In the Macklemore song, Downtown, how much money does he pay for a moped? So, we're 3 questions in, and we have covered punk rock and sports, kind of. 80s music, Australian bands, and now a rap song. So there's 3 different things and 3 different questions.
Jake is on top of his music questions. He believes the answer to that question is $800 cash.
Jake, it is $800. Very good, very good. We might not even need to go over these at the end, but we will, just so if people are joining us, we can let everybody know what the questions were and what the answers were.
Kara's asking for a boy band's question.
A boy band's question. I actually don't have one of those today. Though, what was Justin Timberlake's first solo album? I think I know that off the top. Solo album, if you guys can guess that. So with those 3, we also, we have our feud product, and we also have kind of categories in that. You see that in the final questions, but this one, we just want your answers, just whatever comes off the top of your head. I'm not going to give answers because we don't have all of the survey questions in yet, but I'm going to ask it anyway. We have something. Yeah,
it looks like there was a delay in the feed, so...
Okay, well, I kind of stopped. My phone rang, so that was that. I hope everybody caught the $800 in the Macklemore song. I stopped as the phone was ringing, so hopefully everybody's still on board. And we were talking about feud also, carrying over into categories, even though the questions aren't designated as categories. Name something you might see in a rap music video from the 90s, and just spit off whatever you guys think. And you might see that in a feud show if you go out and play in the next couple weeks. Again, that's name something you might see in a rap music video from the 90s.
It looks like Dice might know the answer to the Justin Timberlake solo album question.
Okay.
He believes it is Justified.
I do believe that is the answer. You might have to fact check me on that one. That was kind of on the fly, but I do believe, Dice, you are correct. 2 grown men know the answer to Justin Timberlake's first solo album.
We have several guesses coming in for the feud question. Too fast that I can't read them all.
Yeah. No, we don't need to go over those. We'll look over those. And we'll enter those in as answers to the feud, this feud database, and we will. You might see those in some upcoming shows. So I've been talking to you guys for a while. We're going to ask you one more question, and then kind of sign off for the week. And then I'll go over all the questions again after I ask this one. Give you guys a little bit of time to think about what the answer is to this question. So this one is about people in music. Who became the first husband and wife to win the Country Music Association's Best Male and Female Singer Awards in the same year? Again, who became the first husband and wife to win the Country Music Association's Best Male and Female Singer Awards in the same year? So this, I mean, it has to do with their songs, but it has nothing to do with the song specifically. Do we already have an answer to that one?
Both Kara and Debbie are on top of this, and Dice chimed in, and I think they're all right. They guessed Tim McGraw and Faith Hill.
That is the answer, everybody. So, that was quick. Everybody's on their game this Wednesday, halfway through the week, and everybody is good, golden, and got all the answers correct quickly. So, I'm going to read over those questions and answers one more time. The first question was, a popular song at sporting events, the Ramones' Blitzkrieg Bop, begins with what chorus? And again, that was Hey Ho, Let's Go. And if you're watching this later, you can pause it right after I ask the question and see if you can answer it, and then press play, and you'll get the answer. So, second question, what Australian band did Michael Hutchence front until his death in 1997? In excess. In the Macklemore song Downtown, how much money does he pay for a moped? The answer is $800. And who became the first husband and wife to win the Country Music Association's Best Male and Female Singer Awards in the same year? And the answer to that is Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. We got one more thing before we hop off.
Looks like we have a question from Jake. He wants to know, where do you normally host?
I normally host, I'm here in Cincinnati, or Northern Kentucky. I normally host at Game On Wednesday nights. That's in the White Oak area if you're in Cincinnati. And Dollar Bills on Thursday nights. That is in the Westwood, Delhi-ish area if you're in Cincinnati. And I do Feud at Dollar Bills on Saturdays. So the same place on Thursdays and Saturdays. So guys, that's it for this week. I hope you guys had some fun answering some questions. Everybody's having a great lunch. And we will see y'all next time. Have a wonderful week and weekend.